Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Buddy, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today I wanted to talk to you about China. This is a tweet that I saw this morning. It was from yesterday. If you don't follow him, he's very active in the XRP community, at Willy Wonka XRP. He's got one of my favorite handles on Twitter because I grew up watching the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Great movie. But anyway, he put a tweet on here about breaking straight out of China, and it's talking about how the Chinese courts confirm Bitcoin is protected by law. And he's got in here, Chinese court confirms Bitcoin protected by law. Shenzhen Court of International Arbitration ruled a case involving cryptos. Inside the verdict, CN law does not forbid owning or transferring Bitcoin, which should be protected by law because it's property of its property nature and economic value. And so I wanted to make a point when I saw this, and let me go ahead and make a point. Never underestimate China. Okay. You've heard Brad Garlinghouse and many others say that Bitcoin is controlled by China because they mine more of the Bitcoin than anywhere in the world. And that's 100% true. But I want to tell you something further than that. Since I've been in this game since about 2013, and I have watched China manipulate and burn this market many, many times, and it happens over and over. And normally, what they're doing, in my opinion, is every time they want the price to just be decimated, that their central bank comes out with some scary announcement about how they're going to ban Bitcoin, and then they never do. And so, and I believe that well, actually, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. I've told you that XRP is the greatest digital asset ever created. Well, today I'm going to declare that China is the greatest digital asset market manipulator ever created, because I've watched them do it over and over and over since 2013. And don't take my word for it. I'll prove it to you. First, I'm going to show you this article from 2013. China Bitcoin crackdown hits major exchange. This is from 2013. Next, and every time it's this scary, it's a crackdown on exchanges, and everybody's scared to death that this is the end, and China's going to make Bitcoin illegal, and they never do. And then you find out later on that China was buying in once the crash happens. Next. Fake China Bitcoin ban pushes BTC price below 600. So what they do is they'll get many times I've seen it, they'll get the central bank will put out some scary press release, and then all of a sudden the price tanks. Now let me ask you this: if you run China and you're bound by no rules, and there are no rules yet even in the cryptocurrency space, and you're basically telling the people how they're going to live their lives, why would you think twice about not doing this kind of thing? Of course you would do this kind of thing, because you could make billions doing this. And so China's been doing this from 2013 on, and they'll continue to do it as long as they can get away with it, and others will too. And then once the market, here's the thing, and this is what people that try to scare people away from digital assets, this is the part that they never tell you. You'll hear over and over again, oh, that's just so volatile, and it's kind of scary, you know. Well, of course it's volatile. There's only $200 billion in it right now, and back in 2013 it was far less than that. So just imagine what the guys that are able to manipulate the market, who control media outlets, could do. Well, the more money that comes in, the less that will be able to happen, because it'll be less and less people with large holdings that are able to move markets as well. So moving along, let's show you one more just for the fun of it. This is from 2017. China crackdown sends Bitcoin sliding. And so I just thought that it was important to show you. This is a good thing to see on a Saturday. And I'm going to make a final point here. And I want to go back to Willy Wonka, okay? They've just come out with a really good piece of news. And I don't think this is coincidence either. We are at we're in the perfect spot as a digital asset investor. You have never been in a better place than you are right now. I'm about to go over a few more of the reasons, but this China story is just one of the many reasons. And China, you have to believe that China is sitting there going, well, Bitcoin's down, it's going to 20,000. It's time for us to start pumping this thing, get this thing going. Now, China may be able to do this even for the next year or two, but eventually they're not going to do it. Eventually, a lot of these digital assets are going to separate from Bitcoin, but they've all been riding up and down with Bitcoin, and they will continue to, at least in the short run. And so, and maybe sooner rather than later, you'll start to see some decoupling of especially XRP, because it's the greatest digital asset ever and actually has use case and is being used in commercial ways. So let's move along, but let me give you that as your number one. Okay, I'm about to this is a tweet. I've never actually featured one of my own tweets, but many of you listening are not on Twitter. So this is what I tweeted out yesterday. These are not exaggerations. These are facts. This is where you sit. Let's say that you're holding 20,000 XRP. You are a 20,000 XRP holder, and you're sitting there. First, what I just mentioned, China, that we've been in a down market for a full year. Anybody who wants to manipulate the market has to have been. We've covered it. Institutions and all these people have been putting their money in the OTC markets. They are preparing themselves to do their manipulation to the upside, and they will. That'll be a part of the next bull run. So right now, this is in the United States. I don't know about the other countries, but we are in the longest bull run and in my opinion, it's a mirage of a bull run, because it's all been manipulated and things that economically have been done that padded Wall Street and bankers' pockets in the short run, but it's going to kill the world in the mid to long run, and it's gonna hurt. But digital assets are one of the solutions, and I'm gonna go over that here for a second. But we're in the longest bull market in history. The average recession in history has happened every 6 years or so on average. We're almost 10 years into a bull run now, which is ridiculous because it's been created by the Federal Reserve printing money, keeping interest rates at ridiculous levels and irresponsible levels. That's the word that should be used. So interest rates, and I looked this up, interest rates for the last few years have been at the lowest levels in 5,000 years of civilization. Now, that is awful. So basically, if you're a saver, you've been punished so that these bankers and the Federal Reserve can pump up the bankers and let them make money for doing nothing. Thirdly, this is not just the United States. This is the countries of the world, but especially the United States. We have the highest debt in the history of the world. We're in territory that has never been seen in the history of the world. And now we're starting to see that bull market teeter. We're starting to see 500-point drops. We're starting to see people on CNBC looking a little bit scared. And they're all scratching their heads, acting like they couldn't have possibly seen this happening. I've heard the people that I listen to and the things I read, we've known this was eventually going to come. They've been breaking all of the economic laws for 10 years. And at some point, you have to pay the fiddler. And these people ought to be ashamed of themselves for what they have set up to happen. But guess what? On December 12th, Bakkt Exchange opens, which is the digital asset exchange that's owned by the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange, ICE. I don't believe it's a coincidence. I believe these people are smart people, because all these guys scratching their heads on CNBC, I don't believe that they really didn't see this coming. I think they all knew what would eventually happen. Even if it doesn't happen right this second, I believe they know and they knew that it was eventually going to happen, because you can't just use the I'll be nice. You can't just use the bathroom on economic laws and expect it nothing to ever happen as a result. Okay? But they have. You can't print your money into oblivion. You can't go into debts. And I tell my wife all the time when I get frustrated about watching this unfold, and I say, this would be like if you and I were having financial problems, and I said, okay, I've got the solution. What we'll do is we will go out and we will get $50,000 worth of credit cards, and to solve our problem, we're not going to go and look for other income sources to solve our debt problem. What we're going to do is we're going to get $50,000 of credit cards, and we will just pay our bills with those until we max them out, and then we'll worry about what happens after that later. Then maybe we'll get some more credit cards. Is that a solution for you and your family? Because if it's not a solution for you and your family, if it's as ludicrous as what I just described, which it is, then why would it not be ludicrous for the countries of the world to be doing it? Because they've been doing it and they continue to do it. And it is time to pay the fiddler. My hypothesis, I talked about a hypothesis in my last video. My hypothesis is that Wall Street knows, they all know of what's coming, and digital assets are the ultimate solution. And we're at a place, this is the first, I said in my tweet, it's the first new asset class in decades. Someone corrected me, and they probably corrected me rightly so. It might be the first asset class in a century, if not more. And it's happening right as we cross the point of no return with this mess that has been created by these irresponsible governments and banks across the world. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that the digital asset investor is going to see you in Liechtenstein. Thanks for listening.